Aslam Alikum. I'm standing here before you to tell you the story of someone who never lost hope, someone who was empowered by their faith, someone in the middle of darkness found light. I'm standing here to tell you my story. I'm a Syrian refugee. I escaped the war about 4 years ago, having to have experienced 5 months of the Syrian revolution. At the age of 12, 5 months felt like years. 5 months of endless bombings, shootings, and destruction. And I was only a child held captive by confusion. As I arrived into Western civilization, I only looked forward to Disneyland and Happy Lands, but never thought of the challenge that I was going to face against my faith and my modesty. So I decided to continue my life with silence, having to have experienced 4 months of the Syrian Revolution. So having to focus on my studies and my education, just so my family and I are finally in peace and are not targeted by anything. Through every adversity I faced, I would only remind myself of 3 things: who I am, what I believe in, and what I'm here for. Every morning I wake up, I am certain with one thing, that I'm grateful. Grateful to be alive, grateful for a roof over my head, grateful for my family, for an education. I'm simply grateful for every minute of every day. Syrian refugees have seen darkness in all shades. We learned patience, we faced and fought the battles of this world. But once we see an opportunity, we grab it, take advantage of every resource we have, and make the best out of it. Not until a month ago, I was given the opportunity to speak in front of such amazing people, so intelligent and open-minded. The Interfaith rally was when I truly understood the meaning of solidarity. That was the moment when my silence was broken. Jews, Muslims, and Christians gave me their absolute attention to hear my story. They opened up their hearts to me and gave me a chance. Muslim, Jews, and Christians, hand in hand, we walked along the street of 95th in the southwest suburbs of Chicago, so confident and determined to spread a message of love and not hate. If it wasn't for them, I would have never been walking along any street because I'd be too scared and too afraid for something happening to me. They made me feel that it's okay. It's okay to hold on to something so precious and so valuable that will protect you no matter what the circumstances are. It's okay. Wear your hijab. Be proud of who you are. Those who know me know that I view my hijab as my unstoppable force, the force that got me and will get me through any obstacle in my life. That is because I decided what force I want to fight with. I made my own decisions. I was the leader of my own decisions. I started my own pathway to success I wanted to reach. I did not and will not allow hate to get in the way of anything in my life. I may be a 16-year-old Syrian refugee, but I'm grateful, hardworking, confident young Muslim. Just yesterday, I came here unable to speak English. I did not know a word, nothing. But today, Today, I'm being interviewed sitting in a coffee shop by the most prestigious colleges in the nation. Today, I'm speaking in front of thousands of people. It's amazing, mashallah, it's amazing. Today, I have a strong voice and will use it to spread a message of solidarity and interfaith work and social justice. Today, I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna focus on me, and I'm gonna spread love, not hate. Thank you.
Please give Lana another round of applause on her story and message in the interfaith work. Our next speaker is Kevin Cement, the president of Gift of Hope, an organization that strives to save and enhance as many lives as possible through organ and tissue donation. A leader in the industry, Kevin works to improve the quality and availability of donated tissue. Please help me in welcoming a unique voice in the interfaith world, Kevin Cement.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm going to tell you a story first. A little over a year ago, a Chicago police officer named Jonathan Howe was riding his motorcycle when he had a tragic accident. He wound up in the ICU at one of our great hospitals here in Chicago, and unfortunately they were not able to save his life. But in the moment of crisis, his family, his wife, decided to let him be an organ and tissue donor for us. Jonathan's organs were transplanted into 4 people, and we were blessed to bring together Jonathan's family and those 4 recipients a few weeks ago. Those 4 recipients were a Hindu woman from India, a black Muslim from Chicago, a Hispanic Catholic, and a Caucasian evangelical. What's ironic is I'm the only guy here who can tell you that we literally are all the same on the inside. Organ and tissue donation and transplantation literally bridges all economic, social, religious boundaries. It gives us an opportunity to do something for each other that almost nothing else does. So the story of Jonathan Howe is one of redemption. It's a story of hope in hopelessness. And I think it ties in well with this theme of this conference today about interfaith and relationships between different religions and different peoples. At Gift of Hope, we're blessed to work with families like Jonathan's every day. One of the things that we've found that's really important is understanding people's beliefs. And so we formed an interfaith council 3 years ago to help teach our caregivers and our team about what it means to be a Muslim or a Hindu or a Jew or a Christian or a Buddhist, and what it means at the end of life to be in one of those religions. And our Interfaith Council has been great for us because it's taught us not just about the differences between different religions, but about the incredible similarities between all of us. So I hope that inspires you, and I hope you all have a great conference. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kevin, for introducing us to a unique facet of interfaith work. Our next glimpse into the interfaith world comes from Brother Azzam Nizam, who is deeply involved in the interfaith work of the Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago. This 25-year-old committee has worked to build relationships between over 60 Muslim organizations and many organizations representing other faiths. Please welcome Brother Azzam Nizam.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Aslam Alikum. May peace be upon you all. Let me begin by telling you that interfaith is a very integral component for us as people of faith, as well as people of all traditions. I've been doing interfaith for 20 years, representing the Council of Islamic Organizations, as well as other organizations like the Islamic Foundation in Villa Park, and many other groups. Throughout all this work, however, nothing hit me harder than last December when I came home after teaching and giving my final at Loyola University where I teach. I came back home and I saw my daughter sitting on the couch. And I said to her, Assalamu alaikum, and she said, Wa alaikum salam, Daddy. And then she said, Daddy, do we have to leave the country? And I said, no, why would we have to leave the country? She said, because Donald Trump said that he's going to ban all Muslims. That's when I realized, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that interfaith is not simply about understanding people's faith and getting together and gathering, but interfaith is about developing core and key relationships with our partners, both at the level of social justice and understanding religious literacy. Our challenges are many. Our challenges of Islamophobia grow every day. But how can we overcome them? We can overcome them by understanding the common religious principles of us and our partners, those from the Christian community, the Jewish community, the Hindu community, and those who don't have a particular religious traditions, by understanding our values of human dignity, of peace, of love, and solidarity. Once we understand those, it's important that we be able to challenge Islamophobia, which leads to fear, hate, and ignorance. How do we overcome fear? Through courage and normalization of the other. How do we overcome hate? Through love. Love is not simply a notion of romantic love, but it requires tremendous patience or sabr, being cool under pressure, and having moral and principle strength. What about ignorance? How can we overcome this legacy of ignorance that we see all around us about other people when it comes to race or religion? We have to understand that ignorance is devoid of knowledge. Knowledge is absolutely essential. Knowledge of who we are as a human being, who we are as believers of a particular tradition, and who we are as Americans. Knowledge must be factual. It must be authoritative, with proper understanding of comparative analogies and worldviews and history, because history matters. The Quran says, O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female and made you into peoples and tribes so that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of God is the most righteous of you. And the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the best deed after belief in God is loving people. Let me repeat that. This is a sound Sahih hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, the best deed after belief in God is to love people. These two are the foundations of interfaith work, but more importantly, they should be the foundation of every single American Muslims in the United States when they deal with their colleagues, when they have family relations, when they have employment relations, or with anybody on the street. Because it is only through building ourselves up and being stronger through knowledge and faith and sound moral principles that we can tackle some of the ills of society, such as Islamophobia. We ask for support from God Almighty for all the efforts that we do, and may you all be blessed. Thank you very much, and Aslam Alikum.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Azzam. Dr. Phidias joins us as the representative of the Hartford Seminary, a non-denominational graduate school for religious and theological studies, and a true leader in interfaith training. She currently serves as co-director of the Islamic chaplaincy program there. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Phidias.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings of peace to all of you. It's a great honor to be up here among so many esteemed friends, colleagues, and activists who have dedicated their time to promoting understanding among peoples of various faith traditions. I'm a professor at Hartford Seminary, where I teach Islamic scriptures and law and co-direct the Islamic chaplaincy program. Hartford Seminary is made up of about 40% Christian students, 40% Muslim students, and 20% students of other or no faith traditions. Having had a special relationship with Islam from the late 19th century, when it was one of the few institutions in the nation to teach Arabic and Islam as early as 1893, Christian-Muslim relations has been a hallmark of Hartford Seminary's legacy. Its reasons for engagement with the Muslim world have changed and evolved over the course of over a century. By the 1990s, Hartford Seminary made a move that was quite progressive for its time by being the first non-Muslim seminary to hire Muslims to teach Islam. Since then, Hartford Seminary has evolved into a leading interfaith institution, with each of the three Abrahamic traditions being taught by members of that faith. The idea that faith and critical examination of religious practice and thought are not at odds with each other is central to the approach taken to religious studies at Hartford Seminary. Professors at the seminary are both academically trained and have some form of religious training, which is integral to the fulfillment of its mission. Hartford Seminary states that its mission is to serve God by preparing leaders, students, scholars, and religious institutions to understand and live faithfully in today's multi-faith and pluralistic world. It also serves God by teaching, researching, informing the public, and engaging persons in dialogue. And finally, by affirming the particularities of faith and social context while openly exploring differences and commonalities. The professors, as faculty who are both academic scholars and persons of faith, have a unique role in working to fulfill these goals. The religious diversity of the professors and students create an environment in which we learn about others and ourselves through engaging our commonalities and differences. This, in turn, extends to our public outreach, both on a local level and on an international level. The spirit of interreligious understanding with simultaneously being immersed in one's own faith tradition is also manifested in our various programs and educational efforts. Some of our programs include the Islamic Chaplaincy Program, the International Peacemaking Program, the PhD program in Islamic Studies, so on and so forth. The Islamic Chaplaincy Program, which I co-direct, is the only accredited program in the country specifically in Islamic chaplaincy and has been around for over 15 years. We serve the Muslim community by graduating students who will become faith representatives in public institutions such as prisons, hospitals, the military, and universities. Muslim chaplains serve as a bridge between the Muslim community and the larger American public through engaging in interfaith relations, facilitating religious practice, and working towards mutual understanding among all faith and non-faith communities. The training our students receive at Hartford Seminary is twofold. First, they study foundational Islamic knowledge essential to their work as Muslim chaplains. Second, they develop practical skills in counseling, public speaking, and engagement of difference through their on-campus experience. All of this comes together to prepare them for the complex setting they will work in as faith leaders in non-religious institutions. Current events have demonstrated for us the importance of forming coalitions and working together for a better future at a time which the world has become an increasingly interconnected global village. It is my hope that this conference will be a means for us to become more familiar with some of the many important projects various faith-based organizations are pursuing, and for us to explore ways to move forward together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Phidias, for sharing about that inspiring work. Up next, we have Reverend Dr. Larry Greenfield, the Executive Minister for the American Baptist Churches of Metro Chicago. Today, he serves as a representative from the Parliament on World Religions. It was founded in 1893 to cultivate harmony and foster engagement to achieve a just, peaceful, and sustainable world. To accomplish this, they work with individuals and communities who are equally invested in the goal. Please help me in welcoming Reverend Dr. Larry Greenfield.
I am grateful, delighted in fact, to be with you this afternoon and to add my voice of support, along with the support of the Parliament of the World's Religions, for what you as Muslims are achieving as people of faith. Concerned as you are for both the depth of faith in individuals and families and for advancing religious and moral obligations of Muslims to participate in the social and political life of this nation and in those same spheres in the wider world. I applaud also what you are committed to and what you are doing to advance the interfaith movement across this nation and around the globe. I represent one of the major organizations that joins with you in those interfaith efforts, and to be a force together for justice, peace, and the sustainability of our earth. The Parliament of the World's Religions had its origins here in Chicago in 1893, when religious leaders from both the East and the West gathered together for the first time in modern history. It was indeed a historic occasion that set loose a higher degree of mutual understanding among the world's faith communities. What it didn't do is to make provisions for such gatherings in the years to come. In fact, it took a whole century for another Parliament of the World's Religions to be reconvened, again here in Chicago. And at that time, in 1993, it was decided that Parliament should be convened on a regular basis every 5 years. Since then, Parliaments have been held in Cape Town, South Africa, Barcelona, Spain, Melbourne, Australia, and just last year in Salt Lake City, Utah. But now we've decided that even 5 years is too long between these global events. So now we are planning to convene them every 2 or 3 years. And the next will be in 2018 at a location soon to be announced. Now, the Parliament does not seek the unity of religions. That would surely diminish the uniqueness of each and would rob the world of the distinctive gifts and strengths that each religion brings to the challenges we face in our world. Rather, we work for harmony among the world's religions and spiritual communities, which can bring about mutual understanding and appreciation of one another. But harmony is not an end in itself. Harmony has a higher purpose, and that for the Parliament is to help religions engage with what we call guiding institutions, those institutions that shape societies such as government, commerce, education, science, media, and the arts. And that engagement of religions with guiding institutions itself is not an end in itself. It must be for the sake of what each of our religious traditions hold dear: justice, peace, and the sustainability and flourishing of the earth. The point is that every religious and spiritual tradition works for justice, peace, and sustainability in their own ways, but can do so much more, can be so much more effective when we work together. These are the issues that we work on cooperatively at our global parliaments, but we've come to realize that it can't be every 5 years or 3 years or even 2 years. It must be a continuing process of focused, informed, inspired, and cooperative work. So, while we want very much for you to be a part of the 2018 Parliament, even more, we need you now. The issues we face as a human community and as an earth community can't wait, can't be effectively addressed with half-hearted solutions, half-hearted efforts. It must be all hands on deck. So please join us. You can learn more about the Parliament at our website, which is parliamentofreligions.org. Now let me, in conclusion, add a word of gratitude. We've been blessed by having outstanding Muslim leaders guide our interfaith organization. Attorney Janan Hashim has provided outstanding leadership for the Women's Task Force. Professor Mohammed Siddiqui headed up our massive program at Salt Lake City, and Imam Malik Mahujid has served tirelessly and creatively as the chair of our board. Thank all of you for these gifts of extraordinary leaders of the Parliament of the World's Religions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Larry, for sharing that inspirational work. Our next snapshot comes from Rabbi Alisa Weis, the Deputy Director of Jewish Voice for Peace, an organization that opposes anti-Muslim, anti-Jewish, and anti-Arab bigotry and oppression. She was the co-founder of the Nakba Education Project, which offers educational resources to an American audience about the history of the Nakba and its implications in Palestine today. Please help me in welcoming Rabbi Alisa Weis.
It's a true honor to be a part of this panel. Thank you for the invitation. I'm Rabbi Alisa Weis, Deputy Director at Jewish Voice for Peace, a national grassroots organization inspired by Jewish tradition to work together for peace, social justice, and human rights. We are currently in the Jewish community in the midst of the 8-day festival of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is celebrated as a celebration of light in a time of dark. The symbol of the menorah and the story of the miracle of a small amount of oil lasting for 8 nights has inspired Jews for generations to believe in the seemingly impossible. We all need that reminder now more than ever. As a Jewish organization, we find particular meaning in linking our holiday cycle to our work for justice. That is why for the second year in a row, just last week, 25 of our chapters took to the streets with walking menorahs, each arm representing a different commitment we make to fighting Islamophobia and racism. Working with their local Muslim partners and community organizations, the actions took place in small towns and big cities, from Kingston, New York to right here in Chicago, Illinois. The actions were designed to shine a light on our unflinching commitment to fighting bigotry, discrimination, and state violence, and to build interfaith community in this new political era. It is traditional to light the menorah in the window so all can benefit from its light. We likewise held our commitments in the public square so all might benefit, giving us all courage in this time. I know we are watching with trepidation as we see Prime Minister Netanyahu and President-elect Trump find common cause in their demonization of Muslim and Arab communities. That's why since 2010, JVP has been organizing against Islamophobia and racism in our own community in deep partnership with Muslim organizations, leading the fight with strength and integrity. We created the Network Against Islamophobia so that this work would be centered and visible at all times. Like the Hanukkah candles, our commitment to stand with the Muslim community only grows day by day. Hanukkah means rededication. So I am here today to publicly rededicate to being a true interfaith partner to you all in the fights to come. As Jewish partners in this work, we at JVP rededicate to being more visible in challenging state-sponsored and individual acts of Islamophobia in our own communities. We rededicate ourselves to standing and acting in solidarity with broader movements for justice led by those impacted by Islamophobia and racism. There are long histories of communities working together across faiths to confront power. We rededicate ourselves to being a partner in extending that history. We rededicate to fighting for a country that needs to live up to its stated principles of love and dignity for all people. We rededicate ourselves to being principled, consistent, accountable partners. We commit that in our interfaith work, there are no off-limits conversations. Many of us, Jews and non-Jews alike, have had accusations of anti-Semitism lobbed at us for standing up for justice, equality, and freedom for all people. In fact, there's a conscious strategy to blur or completely erase the lines between Israel and the Jewish people. Let me be clear. There is nothing anti-Semitic about criticizing Israel for abuses of Palestinian rights. When and if other Jewish organizations refuse to work with you or set terms of partnership, remember JVP is here and we are honored to be your partner. Many communities are rightfully in fear of what the next 4 years are going to bring. Trump's appointment of well-known racists, Islamophobes, anti-Semites, and other bigots is truly terrifying. Yet, even as the prospects of a Trump presidency are truly grim, this season reminds us the light increases. Our rabbinic sages recounted this story about Hanukkah in the Talmud. When Adam, the first person, saw the days shortening, he said, "Woe is me! Perhaps an account of my sin that the world is becoming dark and it is returning to a state of void and chaos." He sat for 8 days of fasting and prayer. When he saw after the solstice that the days were lengthening, he said, "This must be the way of the world." He went and celebrated 8 days of festival, Hanukkah. So it is the way of the world that the light shall increase. We are all that light. By faith communities standing together with a goal of true collective liberation, we remind ourselves that justice, light, and safety are the way of the world. May it be so. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Alisa, for adding to this wonderful spectrum on interfaith work. Our final speaker on this amazing panel is Sister Karen Danielson. She's the chair of this year's Interfaith Symposium, and she's been involved in many organizations, both here in the greater Chicagoland area as well as nationally. She's been placing a strong emphasis on interfaith work for the last 25 years. Karen's motto and slogan, which she conveys to all that she mentors, is "Contribution is the solution." Please welcome my mentor and role model, Sister Karen Danielson.
Aslam Alikum. Contribution is the solution. This panel of interfaith guests are showing us the spectrum of interfaith work, from the Parliament to Chicagoland to JVP to Gift of Hope to Hartford Seminary and to our young youth who are dedicating their future to supporting interfaith work. I've had the awesome experience to bring together this panel, to chair this year's Interfaith Symposium, which is a parallel track with the MAS-ICNA Convention, as I did last year as well. I can never fall short of finding people who I believe are going to break through all those barriers of hate and bigotry, violence, and discrimination in anybody other than in our interfaith community, because these are the people who have compassion. They understand mutual respect. They know how to engage with people from diverse backgrounds and diverse faiths in order to accomplish some goals. Gift of Hope was an organization that I was able to work with maybe in the last 5 years or so. I was told a story not too long ago about a Muslim family who came to the point of, the very sad point of having to deal with removing a son from life support. When the hospital brought up the idea of organ donation, the Muslim family said, "I don't think our religion believes in it." They had a chaplain at the hospital that could show them the brochure that through an interfaith effort and through Islamic scholars on their rulings and understandings of organ donation, were able to share this pamphlet with the family, and that son of theirs saved and improved the lives of 7 people. That family, how tragic of a thing it was for them to say goodbye to their son. We were able to say goodbye to their son after having saved so many lives, that their son ended with the reward of, if you save the life of one person, you can save the life of all of humanity, or it's as if you have. Lana Ados, our Syrian refugee who started off our topic, I met her just before we did a small rally, and she told me, literally, and I don't know if she shared it in her talk or not, but that she said, if people knew that the discrimination I'm facing, that it just makes me grab my hijab even stronger, my faith even stronger. And when she came walking with us in the streets with the interfaith group, it just gave her more encouragement. And now, after her 4 years here, she's a young 16-year-old senior who is being interviewed by Ivy League schools when only 4 years ago, she couldn't conjugate a sentence in English. And some of the experiences of discrimination just made her grab onto her faith even stronger, but it was the interfaith community that gave her authenticity and can give us authenticity. You know, Hartford Seminary is doing training for our youth in chaplaincy and interfaith. The CIOGC here in Chicago has a vibrant, long history of interfaith work as well. The Parliament of World Religions brings together sustainable interfaith practices and harmony amongst people of different faiths and beliefs. And JVP, wow. I honestly, when I try to think about how to develop and design a campaign on anti-Islamophobia, I couldn't have done better than they have. So please join with me in congratulating and thanking this year's 15th MAS-ICNA Interfaith Symposium. It's awesome. Please join the interfaith movement. I'd like to introduce a video maybe some of you have already seen, but it doesn't hit harder than right now, home harder than now. A pastor and an imam and a dream. Hashtag Stronger Together, with our imam, Omar Soliman, who gave our keynote at today's luncheon. Thank you so much for listening, and continue to keep interfaith activity a strong component in your community. Assalamu Alaikum.